Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome to the as of yet award-winning That 40k Lunchtime Show, where we analyse lists, dissect the meta, and provide all the grade A banter you could hope for. As we said last week, no more Ed for the foreseeable, or maybe Ed every other week. We don't know. I don't think Ed knows either, but time will tell. For now, though, it is, of course, Mr. Jack Tight who's going to be saving the day, as he always does. Jack, how are you?
I am doing well, Chris. We're just having a chat beforehand about how we're running as part of the Team England fundraiser on Saturday at the weekend at Bad Moon Cafe. I think overall the event was a success, and I believe England are going to be looking to do some more. So get yourself down for one of those if any more go ahead, and maybe I'll be there if I
Fantastic.
make the team, which I
If
don't
you
know.
miss him. Yeah, is there any update on that? When do you
I
guys find out?
believe it's supposed to be this week. People find out if they've made the 16, which is the squad, and then I don't know when they're cutting it down to the 8 they choose for WTC. It was April last year, but I believe the plan is to
Okay.
do it a bit earlier this year. But we'll see.
Okay.
Otherwise, this week for Team England squad
So
announcements.
this week, that's exciting. Okay. Very exciting. Do you feel you have are you in as good a place in terms of prep and that sort of thing as you were last year?
Without wanting to make myself sound really bad, I don't think I've put. I don't know. I don't think I've done quite as much for my application this year as I did last year.
Sure.
Um, that doesn't mean I haven't done what I'm needed to do. So,
Of
I've done
course.
all the bits I need to do. I've done my tasks. I've done my games. I've done my write ups.
Yep.
But I think I've maintained that I'm going to take a slightly more laid back approach to it this year until we get to like actual WTC prep
Yeah,
time, right?
absolutely.
Rather than having my entire year dominated
It's
by
so intense,
let's
isn't it,
just
if you
have
want it to be, right?
exactly. Let's just have 2 or 3 months where it's very dominating, but the rest of the year I can still do what I want to do.
Excellent. Lovely. Well, we will wait for bated breath then. I know there's a few 6+ guys also waiting to see. Obviously, we've got Tom, Ed, Harley. I think Rob has gone for it as well. So yeah, very interesting to see who makes that first kind of cut. As always, hello everyone. Let us know what you're up to. We've got Mr. Matt there, Warmasters Matt. Almost time for lunch. You're absolutely right. We've probably got slightly shorter show today, just because there wasn't really any Dear Deirdres or list submissions apart from one that I've got. So yeah, without further ado, let's do all the technical stuff like share my screen and then go there and then go boom, PowerPoint. Bosh, like that, seamless. And then hope it eventually starts working. So, in today's show, obviously, the main news was that the other day we had a lot of exciting new previews. So, we'll get Jack's opinion on that. Event Spotlight, haven't even written it in. We are going to be looking at a couple of events, actually. We're going to be looking at a Teams event, and we're going to be looking at a big singles event over in America. So, yeah, let's dive in. So, Jack, did you watch the reveals live?
I did actually watch the live show.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I thought it was a lot later than it actually was, and then someone asked me if I was watching it, and I'm like, thought it was on because normally it's on at like
Yeah, 1
1 or
a.m.
2
Yeah.
a.m. here, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because normally they're doing it in the US somewhere. So I'm like, no, I'm not. As much as I like seeing new reveals, I'm not staying up that late to look at some new
Sure.
reveals when I can see them in the morning. But this time, it was on at a sensible time,
7:30, yeah.
and I was one of the. I think they had 40,000 viewers watching the reveal stream on
That's a
YouTube,
beautiful number.
which was it was very well themed, but also it's a lot of people to have
There's a
watching
lot
a,
of
a live
people.
stream reveal, isn't it, for
Yeah.
Warhammer? So
Yeah, one day we'll be there, Jack. One day show.
yeah, we'll get
40,000
there, right?
people.
We're only
That's the dream.
we're probably sitting at what 20 people, right? Currently, that's where
Well,
we're
only
normally at.
11 at the moment. It goes up to
That is
roughly 20,
only
30 normally.
that's only what 200 times away. I don't know.
Yeah, that is all.
I
Dream
used
big.
to be a lot better at maths than I am now, but maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm
Um,
completely wrong.
Dream big. That's what I like to say. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd forgotten it was on until my chat or the WhatsApp chat just lit up, and everyone was very excited. So I guess we'll go through the main things. CSM, so it seems to be some obviously thing based around Huron, very piratey themed. Did you like that? You a fan?
I think we're going to hear this a lot, but I liked pretty much all the models that got revealed
Yep.
for the showcases. I think it's very cool to have some Chaos Space Marines that aren't just incredibly spiky and
Mm,
edgy. It kind of feels like that is obviously you want a chunk of CSM to be like that, but I like that we've got this like slightly less chaotic, more like renegade, freshly turned Chaos Space
yes.
Marine looking models. I think that's a very cool direction to go in. Was hoping maybe there'd be a little bit more than just another unit of Chaos Space Marine foot infantry, which at this point we
There
feel
are
like
a
we've
few
got about
around.
98 different data sheets for in the CSM book.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping with the Iron Warriors stuff that got teased that we'll start seeing maybe like some of the demon
Mm,
engines. Like, can we get a redone Defiler, please? I know it's completely unplayable because they'll put it on a massive base, but I'd like to see that redone. I think that's a kit done in modern ways that could look really good.
yeah.
And maybe a little bit. That's I think the only complaint for me is just slightly less for infantry. But the models are gorgeous, as is pretty much everything they put out these days.
Yeah.
There's not that many misses nowadays.
No, I think that's entirely fair. I saw, I think Scrivo posted someone in like the Dark Angels chat had been like, "Oh, I'm going to use these as like Fallen Angels type vibe," and I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, I think
they're
you're going to
they're
see a
they're
lot of
really good for
people."
that.
A lot of people diving in. Of course, then we had the dreaded Eldari. Corsairs, obviously, currently just one kill team box, really, which finds its
Mm,
way into a few lists just because it's so cheap. But they've kind of fleshed that out. So, what we've got a new Viper, we've got new characters, we've got a new little special ship, looks a bit like a Star Weaver. And then obviously we've got jump pack Corsairs. You love Eldar. You play Eldar all the time. You excited for Eldar?
Hey, look, I am never against armies getting new models and new rules, right?
Yeah.
Like there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is better for everyone involved in the game if all armies get new releases. I just want them to be reasonable. That's all. That's all I ask is that they come out and they don't ruin the game for 3 months. I don't think I'm asking for a lot with that.
Seems pretty
Um,
bold of you,
but
Jack.
yeah, I like again. It's modern GW models. They look good. Uriel's really cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that was a character I expected to see come back in any meaningful way.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
really cool to see him. If you don't know a lot about him, go read up on him. He's actually, I think, as Eldar characters go, quite cool, quite different from the rest of them. Swooping Hawks Mark II. They look
Oh, well, I'm
they look
wondering
good
what
as
their
well.
rules going to be.
I
We've lost
believe they
Fire and
said on
Fade, right?
yes, but I believe they have move shoot move, and I
Yeah.
think they said they had a scout move on the stream as well. So,
Okay. I was going to say
and
because
apparently they get pretty much whatever option of weapons they feel like. So, they're
I'm already
definitely a
sold.
unit that if I'm gonna go out there and take what of the new Eldar stuff we're gonna see a lot of on the table, I think it might be those because
Move shoot moves is quite
I can
good.
already see the 60 jump pack infantry Eldar lists where turn one they take 10 hawks or 10 of these new guys and they move block you, and then turn two they take 10 of them and they move block you, and then they do the same thing for 5 turns because they now have 60 of them instead of 30. But um, they look great. No complaints from me on that front. We'll wait till we see the rules, and then maybe we'll have another Jack rants for 20 minutes
It's
about
awesome.
poor
I
game
like that.
design. Because apparently, the takeaway from the England fundraiser is that people liked me doing that. So I guess we'll be doing more of
Mate,
that when
you
they
know
ruin the
what?
game again. So
When we very first started the channel and were thinking about podcasting and stuff like that, and we had Ben Partington who was part of the group at the time, and he quite often liked to find things to rant about, and we were like, should we have a segment on the podcast called the Salt Mine, where we just say, right,
yeah,
Ben, 5 minutes, mate, just pick a topic, off you go. Maybe because obviously, if it's just you and we don't have Ed, we don't have Who Am I? So
yeah,
maybe we
it's true.
just
Maybe we'll
switch Who
replace
Am
it with
I
something I ramble about
for a salt
for a
mine.
little while.
I could
Because,
actually
like I
do
said,
it.
the takeaway from this weekend is I had quite a few people tell me they enjoyed the ranting.
There we go.
Not that
It's
the
because you're
YouTube
such
comments
a
from last week would suggest that, but
yeah. Just give me like yeah. No, I think it's you're such a calm, placid person. It's quite nice to see this what the inner dialogue's actually like.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, I mean, obviously from an Eldari point of view, I know we used to have Shadow Spectres, which were the Fire and Fade guys, and they now gone. So this will be the replacement for them. So that's cool. And then now I'm not gonna lie to you, I had slightly had my hopes up on the day of the this preview. Games Workshop Warhammer community put out Grey Knight art through the ages. So they had a whole article dedicated to new Grey Knight art. On their YouTube channel, they released a video on how to paint Grey Knights. I was quite excited about new Drago. There of course was no Drago or no new Grey Knights, but there was in fact brand new Custodes. I haven't been following rumors or anything, so for me this was kind of completely out of the blue. Um, you have, of course, got a Custodes army, slightly different to most people's Custodi army in the form that
Mm.
it's Orc Custodi army. What do you think of the new sculpts?
I prefer them so much to the normal
Yep.
custodian guard and stuff. In fact, so much so that one of my things for this year is I've been wanting to get an army and paint up an army for most of the Games Workshop game systems, right?
Yep.
And I was like, well, at some point I'm gonna have to do a Horus Heresy army as part of that. And then they revealed these models, and I went, wow, well, if I get them for this, then I can
Yep.
use them in 40k as well. I mean, ultimately, I'm going to end up painting them because if I don't do them, Naz will. So I'm not. I'm looking forward to it. I think they're a discussion. They're a hot topic discussion at the minute, aren't they? Really,
Mm,
with a few certain head options in there, but
yeah.
I think the avoiding the cesspool that is Reddit threads about all that might be better for everyone
Everyone's
involved.
mental health.
So
Yeah, I can tell you for free. The Facebook group chat has been. Oh my word! Some of the posts and stuff. I'm like, oh, are you any sort of human being?
it is so cringe inducing. It's like I don't understand what's so terrifying about an alternative head option on a plastic model. It's like, come on, guys, can we be slightly more reasonable human beings here? You
Yeah,
know, this is not the
it's
sort of
crazy, right?
stuff we need to be making like death threats to people about. Come
Yeah.
on, this is absurd.
And then we get the other people like, well, what about the Misters of Silence then?
Oh, I just come on, guys. Right,
Um,
you don't want the hobby to be the sort of thing where a young girl comes into she's looked in the window and she's gone, oh, those look really cool. She's got her parents with her, and they go in and she goes, oh, I want to play these ones here, and not saying they would point to the custodies and whatnot. She's like, ah, like what's wrong with her having some female characters in an army that she likes, right?
yeah,
I don't see the issue with it.
no, that's because you're a normal human being, and I'm quite confident and comfortable in saying that if you are one of those people who are so against the fact that custodies could have female characters or whatever, then don't worry about watching our channel. I think it's
I
probably fair
yeah,
to say.
I don't think this is going to end up being the place for you.
No,
So
so yeah, but for me, as someone who, when I first got properly into 40k in 8th edition, Custodes were my first proper army. I had a few Grey Knights, but Custodes were my first proper army. And I've got quite a lot of Custodes. And there's part of me which is obviously like, these are beautiful new sculpts. But at the same time, it would involve me basically repainting everything I already own.
yeah,
And I do remember painting them, and I didn't love painting them. I'll be honest with you. That maybe means I'm a bit scarred by all the bikes I painted. But yeah, they are very nice. But I look at the dreadnoughts. I've got a few dreadnoughts, and these do look pretty much identical. They're just in plastic now. I will undoubtedly buy like a box, and as I sit here, I say I'll buy a box, and hopefully that box doesn't turn out to be the actual giant army box, but there is every possibility
Well,
that will be the case.
I think the heresy, like that box that they showed off where it's like the Caladius tank, 15 guard, and one of the dreadnoughts. I think might be more guard than that, might have been 20. But looking at the prices for the other equivalents of those in heresy, they're about 105, I think it was at retail.
Oh well,
So you add on a retailer discount, that box is probably only going to be £90
which is
potentially if it
insane.
follows the same pricing, which actually I'll be honest, I'd pick up two of them and
Yeah,
just
exactly.
that's like most of a Custodes army right there.
Then you
It
get
is
3
certainly
land
going to be on
raiders.
the
Well done.
well, obviously, who's not going to
Yeah.
play 3 land raiders, right? I hear that's the thing for all armies these
Yeah.
days, as we'll cover later. So
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, a pretty good preview. Obviously they ended with a sneaky peek of some more Iron Hands. Maybe we're going to get a new Demon Primarch. Maybe.
yeah, it does seem very interestingly timed that a leaked photo of this Perturabo model, which looks incredibly fake, and I really hope it's not real because the model does not look that good.
Yeah.
um, was going around on the same, a couple of days before
Mm.
the reveal of some Iron Warriors stuff. So I think that'll be. I'm hoping that this Perturabo is fake because I think it'll be a real miss if it isn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, GW model wise has just been blowing it out the park, really. I mean, like I know we're mostly 40k related, but man, AOS models, the OCR stuff looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like across the board, they really
Yeah, they've
do.
nailed it, haven't they?
They
They're
really are nailing it, really, these
fast.
days with a lot of releases. Yeah, we do get the odd dud here and there. Sorry, individual players. But I can't really complain about how the models look these days. It's hard to criticize them too much.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Lovely. Right. Well, there you go. So that's the fun, fluffy bit talked about. Let's get into the good stuff. So yeah, as I said earlier, we're going to talk about a couple of events, and the first one we're going to look at is a singles event. Which was over in America, Warhammer Open Palm Springs. Huge event. It did have new Necrons and stuff. I wanted to make sure we covered something with new Necrons. And always, I mean, I'm going to assume this was GW terrain. So obviously different metas for different things. But it's obviously quite an interesting idea to see how it's shaping up over in America because lots of people in America watch our stuff. So 173
Mm,
players, it looks like. Some familiar names at the top. So let's dive in. So the winner
yeah,
of the whole event was Tau. That's exciting. So let's have a dive in. So we've got Montcar, which, as we know, is the I'm going to kill you quickly one. So we've got Shadow Sun, Breacher Team, Devilfish, Ghost Kill, Hammerhead, Kroot Carnivores, Pathfinder Team, another Pathfinder Team, Piranha, Riptide, Skyray Gunship, and then two units of stealth battle suits, and Vespid Stingwings. Um, Anything interesting about this, or is this a pretty standard Tau
I
Montcar list?
think this is about as generic as the Talmont Carlos gets, really. I think interesting things to note is that Tau look very good into new Satans in general.
Okay,
They've got a lot of quite high quality 1 damage stuff that has AP and ignores cover,
sure.
and they also have quite a lot of I kill your big things models with the hammerhead with the sky rays.
Mhm.
They can actually put up a pretty good fight into a lot of the Necron stuff. DDAs detest being shot by Riptides now that they're strength 10. I think it's not impossible that 2 Riptides kill a DDA with some reasonable consistency. And likewise, to be honest, even though they're wounding it on 5s, they've got lethal hits here. The Satans probably don't enjoy being shot by them very much either.
No.
They have good stat lines for Victrix. They have good stat lines for Custodes. Like they have the profiles to kill them. I suspect this is a case. This is someone who's played nothing but Tau, doing very well with the army that he has a lot of games with, right? This isn't someone that's jumped onto them because they're suddenly really, really good. This is someone that's
Yeah.
already good with the faction, doing well at an event with a faction he understands better than almost anyone. I don't think this is a sign that Tau are the next coming of the meta, but I think they're an
You
army
never know.
that's been pretty good for a while,
Yeah,
and players who are good with them will do very well with them.
sure.
And I think that's what this is.
Mhm.
I think for people that want to kill Satans though, get a Storm Surge. As it turns out, they actually kill Satans and Land Raiders quite well.
And they are a big part of the meta at the moment, those things. So there you go. Storm Surge meta, let's go. Cool. So well done for that win, Durante. Then we've got Junior on Votan. That is quite exciting. Out of nowhere, Need Guard. So let's have a look.
There you go, Chris. You know what
I
detachment
know,
is, right?
yeah, I know
Need Guard.
so
Come, you
much.
must know that one, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Knee Guard's the one that people were talking about when it first came out as good, but I still don't know what it does. We've got Capricus, which carries people, their transports. There we are, and then we've got
Yeah,
quite
that's
a
good.
lot of
That's good
Thunderkin there.
observation there, Chris.
That is, you are welcome. Then we've got triple Thunderkin, only small units though. We've got the indirect, right? That's the Earthshaker.
Hmm.
Then we've got triple Terminators, just little 5-mans, double Land Fort, and then double Infiltrators. They go in the Capricus, right? And then we've got a big unit of Ironkin Steeljacks and a little unit of Ironkin Steeljacks. Cool. Looks like Votan.
This is
Why is it
very
so
cool
good?
and different. This is very very different to the Votan thing, at least the ones
Okay.
I've been seeing in the UK.
Yep.
So we tend to have a lot of Hearthband with the 25 Hearthguard, or we do have Need Guard, but it tends to be there's a brick of 6 of the Thunderkin in there. There's maybe a big brick of Hearthguard as well instead of multiple smaller bricks. This is a very different MSU take on what we've been seeing a lot of. I think the most interesting about the list, there is only one big brick unit here, which is very different for an army that really benefits from being -1 to wound later on in the game. Because this army just racks up yield points because it gets one every time it kills something.
Okay.
I think again this reads across as a list played by someone who I know plays a lot of Votan and has as such done very well with it. I'm trying to work out what it's supposed to be the solution for in the meta at the minute, because it doesn't feel like it kills Satan that well. But maybe the new Ironkin, the ones at the bottom of the list, the Steeljacks. I say Ironkin Steeljacks.
They have a
Maybe
lot of
they're
shots,
good
don't
into
they?
Satan. They've got a very high shot volume, but that
Yeah.
isn't as good into Satan as it used to be. Land forts can be okay if they've got the rail rifles or the conversions. I assume because he's not running the big brick of Thunderkin, he's got conversions on the land forts.
The land
Um,
forts have.
no, he's running the rail cannons. Very interesting. I don't think I've seen anyone not run something like this in a while. I can't explain this one. This just comes across as I assume it's just an MSU list with some good stuff in it. There's no big combos, big damage things here. It just all goes together nicely with a lot of MSU that all does its own thing.
Just plays good Warhammer, I guess.
I think that's it. I think it just plays good Warhammer. It's got a lot of units. Some of them are durable, some of them aren't. Some of it does damage, some of it doesn't. Just lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. There we go. Excellent. Well done, Junior. Very good. Then we come to Marines. What flavour of Marines was the best Marines? Let's find out, everyone.
Is it Victrix? Oh, I can see from the detachment name that there might be
It's
some
Blade
Victrix
of
flavored
Ultramar.
crayons here, guys.
Yeah, Blade of Crayons. So
Blades
Lieutenant
of
Combi Weapon.
Crayons. That is now its new name.
Um,
Blades of Crayons, guys.
no Gilliman, no. That's exciting. So we've got Calgar, Ventress, and Trusty Lieutenant, combi weapon. Then we've got Impulsor, and then Ballistus Dreadnought, Company of Heroes, Repulsor Executioner, Repulsor Executioner, Scout Squad. I think we're nearly at the good part. There we go. Victrix, only one Victrix unit, and then Vindicator, and then quite an efficient 90-point unit, Wardens of Ultramar. And then I had 40 points spare, so they got a Minestorm Priest in. So I guess the question is, Ultramarines players, are they all now moving across to Blades of Ultramar? Is that something that's going to be a thing? And is one Victrix unit the best choice, do you think?
So I think the choice you have to make between Blades of Ultramar and Gladius is I'll be honest, it depends on how many Victrix you have. I think if you aren't running 3 squads of Victrix, you get a lot less value out of the fight on death you get from Gladius. Otherwise, having access to -1 to wound on any of your units is a much more valuable tool in the vast majority of games. Add that to the fact that this list gets to triple up on the same doctrine, so it just sits there, does dev doctrine for 3 turns if it needs to, and there is a very scary fire base here that's got advance and shoot basically all game. I think we're going to see most people move over to Blades now. I just think most people will run 2 units of Victrix in the long run. I think that's where it will end up heading. Like anyone that thinks that unit has been properly fixed, no, it hasn't. That unit is still crazy good for its points. And yeah, I think Blades is the way to go now. Vindicators, I detest the Vindicator entirely because of how random they are. But I've played against this detachment with Repulsor Executioners in it lately, and my god, what is this tank? Why does it have 42 shots? Why?
Quite a lot, isn't it?
I remember I was playing Sisters into it, and I'm like, right, so if I poke my Sacrosaurus out here, which, normally they don't die to one activation, I'm sitting there going, well, if I get Oath of Moment and they shoot their 40-something shots at me, I just die. So, yeah, they're really, really good as well.
Annoyingly durable as well.
Yeah, this has got the new Warden's unit in, which I'd expect to see this unit just pasted absolutely everywhere it can be. It's so hard to go wrong with a unit that's 90 points, gives your army a redeploy rule, and has 20 wounds in it.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's found the right thing to attach them to yet. I think we're still waiting around for just the perfect unit. I think in this list they're joining the company heroes with Titus, at which point you've got a unit that's got 36 wounds with -1 to be wounded. All the time can be -2 if you need it. It's real stodgy. Maybe they don't do a lot of damage, but it just doesn't matter. They just exist so well in a place.
Good. Well,
Actually,
yeah,
there's no Titus
there
here,
is
so
no
that
Titus,
means
no.
that means they're just running around doing their own thing.
It's doing a thing.
I think, because I think they can only attach to a unit that Titus is attached to. So
Okay.
I think they're just running around doing their own thing.
Doing
Which
anything
is,
for
to
9
be
points?
fair, they're a 90-point unit,
Yeah.
so it's kind of hard to go wrong with that. I hadn't thought about running them on their own with no bodyguard or character, but it's an interesting
It's
direction.
just a very efficient 90-point unit, right?
Do they fit in an impulsor at this point? Is that where they're going? Are they going in this impulsor? That would be quite funny.
Well, what else would go in the impulsor, I guess, is the question.
I assume that I'm missing something and they do somehow attach to the company heroes, but it would be interesting to see them run on their own.
Awesome. There you go. Good. And then Death Guard. So let's see what Spice of Death Guard is currently doing. Not too bad. So Virulent Victorum. This is going to be. Oh, he's got Mortarion. That's exciting. He's got 2 units of Death Shroud, Bloat Drone, triple Bloat Drone with Blight Launcher. Why wouldn't you? My Fitted Blight Hauler, Poxwalker, Poxwalker. Okay. Just seems
it's a Death Guard list.
Yeah.
Mortarion, I think, is an interesting appearance here because we haven't really seen a lot of him for a while, and I don't know. It feels like a brave choice to take what is effectively a Citan that costs almost 100 points more, while having a worse defensive stat line than a Citan.
Yeah.
Like it's basically a Citan without -1 damage.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he's T12. Yes, he has a 2-up armor.
Save.
There are areas he's a little bit better, but it feels like a brave call to start taking him in a meta where people are going to seriously start taking for a 16 wound model with a 4-up in fun.
Yeah.
I think the reason he's started to make a comeback is maybe because a lot of the reactive tools he has is quite useful into these Necron type builds, or
Okay.
even Marines, to be honest. Right? What army is playing without reactive moves these days? Like, it feels
Yeah.
like every single army I see now has got a reactive move somewhere.
Yeah.
And he brings able for Death Guard, an army that normally doesn't have any of these sort of smarter tools, right? They tend to just run stats at you normally. And I think this maybe gives them a little bit of scope to smarten up their Warhammer play when they run into a big, horrible stat block like multiple Citan or, the
Yeah.
Sliding
Sure.
King 3 DDAs and Citans and stuff like that. So
Nice. There we are. Ben Jerk on guard. Another Tau. Demons. Now this. Don't have to
Chris
get
is
too
scrolling
much.
down for a reason here. Right?
There's a
We're
reason here,
skipping
guys.
all of
Look
these
at
people
this.
above this.
Grey.
There's
Yeah,
a
Grey
Grey
Warlord
Knight
ones.
player.
There's a Grey Knight player. Now I know Donovan's one of the top Grey Knight players in UK. Not UK, America. Sorry. So he's gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 2, and I clicked on it expecting to see Warpbane, and I didn't. I saw Banishers, and I got excited, guys. The reason for that is because I really like Banishers. It really speaks to me as a Grey Knight player because Grey Knights are, in my opinion, at their best when they're really fun. They're janky, they're playing around the edges, they're doing their tricks. You've got Mr. Deimos or Shadows of Anarch to run away and pounce somewhere else and just be annoying. Absolutely love that style of play. So I was like, oh, can I take some inspiration from this Banishers list, which is going to be really janky? And then I started scrolling down. So let's have a look. We've got Castellan Crow, of course, in every Grey Knight list. We've got 5 strikes, same as every Grey Knight list. We've got the Rhino. I'm like, okay, cool. He hasn't leaned into Rhinos or Razorbacks. That's quite nice to see. This guy's my style. I'm liking this. Then I see 10 interceptors. I'm immediately very excited. I then see another 10 interceptors. Now that's what I actually did at LGT. So I'm like, this guy is onto something here. And then what I saw, Jack,
Oh,
was
oh,
3 Land Raiders.
that is beautiful, is it not? Is that
Now,
not the Warhammer we're all here to enjoy?
now there's a certain Custodes army that at the moment is taking 3 Land Raiders, and to see Grey Knights taking Land Raiders is a bit surprising at face value, because obviously the idea of transport is that it gives you maneuverability, right? And well, Grey Knights already have quite a lot of maneuverability. So I was a bit confused. Then if we look, we've got the Purgation Squad. They -2 your move and charge. And then we've got a Purifier squad, which will have Crow with them. And then we've got a Calidus Assassin and a Calexis Assassin, which is quite spicy. So, for those of you who are wondering why on earth we have got triple Land Raider, essentially, if you remember last week when we were talking about Custodes, why is this triple Custody Land Raider list suddenly become a thing in Talons? Because of the reactive move. Okay, you can send a unit out, go kill some stuff, and then it can, when someone comes over to stand on the objective, because it wants to stand on the objective, you just reactive move into a Land Raider, which is pretty durable. Well, in Grey Knight Banishers, you have Shadows of Anarch or Mr. Deimos, which obviously for most people is I pick up, I go into Deep Strike, and then I could rapid ingress down somewhere else. In the case of this list, it's probably make a normal move of up to 6 inches and go back into a Land Raider. So it's essentially doing the Custodes list thing in Grey Knight form. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a bit sad, but I'm also not surprised that in the hands of a very strong player, it's been pretty effective. I mean,
I
you've
don't know,
got
Chris. I think this is what happens to a man when he discovers the delicious taste of crayons. And he has brought this wonderful silver crayon cuisine into the world. So now we can add it to the ever growing rainbow of crayon eating armies that we can enjoy currently.
it's sad. I mean, Hey, Calexis, that's quite interesting. It's weird that he had 185 points and went for. I thought Calidus Assassin was 105. Silly me. So yeah, like I don't know, guys. I mean, the double 10 of interceptors, that's quite interesting, right? It's very This list is very good at just clearing out screens. You know, you shove out 20 interceptors, and there's side cannons, extra side cannons as well, and they can just get out of the land raider, and they can hose down a lot of stuff, and then get back into those land raiders, and you kind of spend 2 turns just clearing up screens. If you're not going to have a miss early on, you could just send those 10 interceptors, launch them into your opponent, shoot, kill some stuff, and then bounce, and then just miss away when someone comes close to you. Yeah, I'm not sure it's necessarily going to take over the Grey Knight meta. Not that there really is one, but Grey Knight players are pretty damn bored at the moment. I think it's fair to say. So I'm not surprised that someone's tried this. And yeah, I'm also not that surprised that it's done well. But there you go. Other than that, I think the only surprising thing for me, Jack, is that at the top end here we have not got any Necrons.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about this before you started, but we could doing it now is fine. So
go for it.
I think the reason for this is I think it's twofold. I think one, this is an official GW event, and obviously the new character, right,
Yeah,
is very tricky to get hold of. GW has said you can use him, but you need to have a very appropriate proxy, which means that you won't be able to just get a 3D printed one and turn up with
sure.
it. Same with the Nightbringer, who is one of the Satans a lot of people are looking at running.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just with how difficult the models are to get in a semi-official capacity, I think it will be a couple of weeks before they really
Yeah.
catch on. I can tell you now, they might not be here, but they are coming. Like,
Hence
if you
the
haven't played against it yet, 3D DAs with the new character and the Silent King is a stupid build. It is
I imagine that's quite a lot of
insane.
firepower.
It is insane how much firepower that list
So
has.
that puts it as sustained on the DDAs and then re-rolling from the Silent King. Is
Yeah,
that
so
right?
they get sustained hits. They get real ones to hit and ones to wound on a model that, if they shoot something on an objective, is hitting on twos. So effectively, and because it's strength 18, or strength 20 or whatever it is, whatever their shot count is, will convert into wounds, probably.
Yeah.
Right? When you add the sustained in, you can basically sit there and go, okay, if I roll 4.5 shots on average across my 3 DDAs, I will put, 13, 14 wounds on it very consistently. And there's nothing in the game that survives that easily. You'd have to be an extremely skewed defensive profile for that sort of target. I think the bit that annoys me more about it is that they also become really problematic to play around in Overwatch.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So, because the problem is you go, well, it's only D6 plus one shots plus two if it's blast, right? Which a lot of the times it will be. It's like, okay, well, they get 5.5 shots on average. Well, we're only one extra 6 away from that being 4 hits on Overwatch, at which point most of your unit is dead, and you're probably not killing what it was you came out to charge. I have watched a lot of Victrix Guard die to DDA Overwatches since that new character's come out, and I think a lot of armies in the game are going to have that same annoyance. But yeah, they're not quite there currently. I don't think people have sussed out the exact build you want. I think the sooner people realize you want maybe one Satan and not 4 or 5, I think the list will get a lot better.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. We won't talk about our ITT list, which is 5 of them. Anyway, so this is Frankie. He was the best placed player, and he lost one game at the weekend. Frankie, obviously from Frontline Gaming. So he's playing Awakened Dynasty. So he's got an Necrosaur there. He's then got Triple Scorpec Lord and Silent King. Then he's got Canoptic Tomb Crawlers, and then he's got Triple
Look.
DDA.
God, imagine if he was playing this in Star Shatter and not Awakened Dynasty. Imagine if they all hit on twos and had a reactive move and had access to +1 a wound, and man.
Yeah, and then he's got triple Scorpet destroyers. Presumably going with the Lords, unless he decides to run them all separately as different pieces.
You can in Awakened run the Lord separately.
Yeah.
I think there's very real argument you run the 4-up Feel No Pain Lord separately, but I mean Scorpex is just so cheap that
Yes, they are. I do like my.
they can be a skirmish unit, and you can attach the Lord to them to make them a bit more of a brick.
Yeah. And obviously Frankie here, he only lost one game. I presume there's some sort of cut, which is why we've got people up here and then also people down here.
Yeah, it's the first 4 games for GW events. So after the first 4 games, your bracket is decided, and then you play within your bracket basically. So if you're in bracket 2, like Frankie is here with 1 loss, you can only at best finish 17th because I believe it's 16 player brackets.
I see. So there we go. So having a look down, we've got some other armies that have obviously then done really well, just lost in the bracket. He was the one that beat Stephen Box, I think, a few years ago on stream in the final or something, Jesse. Yeah, there we go, guys. So that was a look at the American meta, singles meta. And then also our very own Ed Watts was playing at the Stratton Slaughter team event. And he was playing with some Mind Goblin chums, as was one of our other players, Chris Irvine. So wanting to just look at a team's events simply because we've got ITT list submission coming up on Sunday, and obviously people got a lot of thoughts on the team's meta. So let's have a look. And what I'm actually going to do is not worry so much about, but just look at the singles aspect of this, just so you can kind of see the results that's maybe, or which armies are the ones that are going to be posting up the big results, because those are the ones obviously you probably want to be most mindful of. So in first place for Mind 6 Oblins plus, very nice guys. We've got our very own Chris Irvine. Well done, Chris, on Blood Angels. I'm going to assume it's the same list that he took to Nottingham and did really well with. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Is that 3? Hang on, is that 3 bricks of Death Company now, or just the 2?
It's 10, 10, and 5. Right?
Okay, cool. Sorry, I thought I
10,
spotted
10,
3 bricks of 10 now. I was like, that is a change. That
would be quite a change. That's an Ed Watts change. Yeah, so it's the same list there, which would be cool. So well done, Chris. We know that Blood Angels are really strong at the moment, but they can't kill Catan. Then we've got Empress Children. Is this something exciting?
no, scroll no further. We've read the first
Coterie
3 data
and
sheets.
there's no
I already know what the rest of the list is.
No. Shout out to our very own Lee Churchwood, who went undefeated at an RT at the weekend running Fulgrim and the new detachment and one best painted as well.
Also, not to knock EC players for running the uninteresting list. I'm sorry, your book only has 3 viable data sheets. It is only fair that you use those 3 viable data sheets times 3. Yeah. I am very much looking forward to the day that the other data sheets are playable. But until that day, it's 3 Winged Demon Princes and Noise Marines and Lord Squads in every list.
Yeah. Unless you want to take Fulgrim. So that's the thing. Ed...
Fulgrim is very cool and very fun. He just has issues.
Yeah.
And you know what? I could get around the giant base issues if he actually killed anything when he got there.
Lees did kill Catan over 2 turns, I believe.
2? Oh, I don't even think that's average. I think that's a high roll to do it in 2 turns.
There you go. Then our very own Ed Watts, look at that, 6+ double podium on the singles. Ed painted his army in 2 days, so well done. And he is preparing for ITT with his team. So we've got Be'lakor, Demon Prince, and then we've got Kairos, Lord of Change. Ed going for the triple Lord of Change rather than the double. He's from the Manichima school of triples. And we've got a little unit of Flamers and then 3 small units of Screamers doing all that sort of stuff. So it'll be really interesting to see how this army does teams. I imagine it's going to be quite annoying.
Yeah, it suffered a little bit from the fact that a few things came into the meta that weren't intending to be a counter for it, but ended up being a counter for it. The Custodies list being one of them. It wasn't designed explicitly with the idea of beating the chickens list. It just happened to do it by coincidence.
Yeah. So there you are. Well done, Ed. Very good, sir. And we've got double guard, and this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because if you look at their scores, generally they scored really well. There was a 12 there, but then they obviously played each other and drew. So I'm going to assume this is Grizzled Guard. Is it Grizzled Guard double Bullgrin? Let's have a look. Grizzled Company, double Rogel Dawn Commander, some troops. There's the double Bullgrin, double Chimera, Kassakin, combat. Yeah, I mean, does that seem quite right? Do we think guard lists are just thing into this one sort of build at the moment?
This or some variation thereof of it. I feel a little bit for guard players sometimes because there is fundamentally a few data sheets that are stapling the book together, and they have one of the biggest codexes out there, right? Like they've got
Yeah,
loads and
so
loads of
many
data
data
sheets
sheets, right? Yeah,
that you just don't see
yeah,
because
definitely.
they're always hyper focused on the tweaking the balance of the same 8
Mm.
data sheets at the top. Like some updates they go up, some updates they go down, and you end up with some variation of exactly the same list because if Bullgrin go up 10 points, then the Chimera went down 10 points, or if the Chimera went up 10 points, the Bullgrin came down 10 points, and you just end up with the same lists. I think the guard book needs a good look at in terms of I think orders are messing up the internal balance of the book quite badly. And how the army feels too good when you get shot by stuff with maxed out orders, like Kassakin with double orders on them and stuff like that. And the army feels bad if you get shot at by stuff without orders.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a couple more units that are able to operate without orders. Because let's be honest, we haven't seen Bullgrin in ages, right? The moment they got orders back in a limited capacity, immediately they're back to being 2 of in every list, right?
Yeah.
There is a very real issue with how the book is balanced in terms of how orders are handled. And I think that's the thing that needs fixing necessarily before we can start fixing all the other issues with the book.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fair. Mine's got a couple of different things here. So he has got double Vanquisher, and he's also got a couple of small little units of the Rough Riders as well. Just to go in there and
If you
pretend
say
to
if you say Rough
something.
Riders too many times, you're gonna summon the seam into the chat, and he'll bring his wrath on all of us for
Oh
talking
dear,
about horses.
I don't want that. So there we are. Is there anything else interesting? There you see Alex Fowler on Custodes, and interestingly, Alex's loss 14-6 was to the Blood Angels. Is that in true of that matchup as teams go to ITT? Do you think that's a fair reflection that Blood Angels do have a pretty decent upper hand into the Custodes?
Tricky to say. I don't think it's a definitive. This army wins this matchup clearly. I think there probably is a game to be played here. And I mean, ultimately, Custodes are an army that live or die a little bit on rolling some 4s.
Yep.
Angels have slightly better fight phase control, but I don't think they're able to push into it that easily. If the Custodes player's hanging back and there's a unit in the middle that is going to reactive move when you go near it, you kind of have to trade a unit away for it, and I don't know. Seems like it adds up if the Custodes really slow down the pace of the game.
Yeah.
I think if you have a big smash up in the middle, I think Blood Angels win it every time, and I don't think it's close. But I wonder if there's like a really slow Custodes game plan there that drags out the Blood Angel units into reactive moves, which they then leave.
Yeah, that's entirely fair. So basically, get good, Alex, is what the that's what I heard from Jack.
Basically, right.
And then going down, so a nice little mixture here. Grover on Necrons. I don't think this was using new Necrons, was it? I don't know. And we've got Nexor in here.
Not
no,
not at those points
not at those
costs, and
points.
not
Yeah,
not
so
in that detachment.
that's why I haven't been super kind of leaning into this particular event. I did want to just point out, this cracked me up. Grey Knights, Andy Mollison. I just love the fact that he's got a 20, he's got a 10, he's got a 10, he's got a 0, and he's got a 10. Just 10s. It's just like he averages out at 10.
That is pretty much how Grey Knights exist in a team's capacity at the moment, right? It's
Absolutely, and we will get onto that shortly. But yeah, also shout out, he is running kind of the he's running no characters. No vehicles. So he's got Brotherhood Librarian and Crow. Then he's got
Chris, I hear there's this list that did really well in the US that took 3 Land Raiders, which I
what
thought was
rookie?
really
Where's
cool and
his
interesting.
triple Land
Can we talk
Raider?
about it?
So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 strike squads. He's then got triple interceptor, double purgation for double slow, and then 5 purifiers and 10 purifiers. So it's a pretty cool list, actually. I have played with something similar. I mean, it's not particularly my style, and I did keep running it into Blood Angels and Catan and having a bad time. So maybe that was part of it, but yep, well done, Andy. So I guess the big question now, Jack, is with ITT coming up, people are going to be trying to work out their comp, or hopefully by now they know what their 5 armies are, but they might
We
be
don't. We haven't decided it yet.
Excellent.
So
Good. So what things? So you talk about, we're expecting to see a lot of Necrons, right?
yeah.
We're probably going to see a few Custodes. We're going to see some form of either Blood Angels or Ultramarines. And probably going to be seeing demons. What sort of little things can people be? Are there any hard and fast rules here in trying to prepare? What sort of things can people try and have as a solution to Necrons? Are there any little things people might try and get into this potentially? Like, what's your general considerations for the next ITT?
So I think the conclusion that I've come to with Necrons is I've tried. So there's the mentality, right, where when we've got a bit of a crayons meta, which is what we've got going on at the minute, right, where everything's a bit stat blocky and it's all aimed about killing people better than they kill you.
Yep.
Is you go, well, I'm going to take a bigger crayon, right? So in this case, I've been playing around with Imperial Knights, right, with 2 Caserns, because theoretically that kills Titan really well. The problem I found is that actually it turns out Necrons are the biggest crayon in the yard, and you can't out crayon them.
Yep.
So you then go, okay, well, how else do I beat the crayons? And weirdly, it's by playing normal smart Warhammer again, right? So this thing that I've been lamenting not being around in a while looks like it might be starting to come back round again, because I'll be honest, you can't kill the Necron stat checklists before they kill you. Like Zarek, DDAs, and Citan, it's just too much for an army to deal with before it gets tabled by the rest of it. So you end up going, okay, well, how does this Necron list lose the game? Well, it's not great OC on the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, Zarek's got pretty decent OC, but as the DDAs, but they are still only 5. And Citans and stuff are only 4.
Yep.
The other interesting point is that Citans are surprisingly naff at punching their way out of a combat. Like, they're really, really good into big single models, but they're really bad into higher numbers of models with good saves or invuns. It is surprisingly often you'll watch a Nightbringer be charged by like 8 idiots, and there'll be an idiot left at the end of the turn, and the Nightbringer's like, well, now I'm just stuck here. The Deceiver has the same issue, and I'll be honest, I think the Deceiver is the one you're going to be seeing the most of, at least in the lists that I would be afraid of. They don't do well being tagged up, so taking lists that, you know, play the table a bit better, play the objective games a bit better, play the cards a bit better, and aren't looking for, you know, an active big brawl in the center of the board, I think are the sort of lists that will do well into new Necrons, right? I'm talking like Eldar. I mean, Sisters look like they can at least get scores out of it.
Yeah,
They
that's
might not
what
be
we found.
winning scores, right? But the key for this is to not let the Necrons play a 20 one of your important stat check type lists. So, I mean, expect to see, there's a lot of stats going around at the minute. So you don't want to go too heavily into the I'm going to play the board well, because it doesn't answer every stat check, right? Some stat checks can play the wide table. If you play Custodes with the triple Land Raider, they can easily split their army two ways, and you've still got loads to deal with on each side of the board. Same with Marines. Marines can still play both sides of the table very well. So you want to have some of them in there as an answer for Necrons, but you do not want your whole comp to be smart Warhammer list. You need to have a couple of the bigger crayons I'm talking about, like your Knights, your own Necrons, to beat the Land Raiders, the Repulsors, the Dreadnought type builds that we're seeing a lot of. And I think those are the two main ones, right? Is to have your bigger crayon list and your smart list for beating the bigger crayon list. And I think that's firmly where the meta is at the minute. I don't think the meta will have caught up to Necrons having the biggest crayon by ITT.
Okay.
Right, I think a lot of teams are going to be, like you said, like your team playing 4/5 Satan, rather than going down the route of I'm just going to kill you, which it is the build I'm scared of. I think I think this meta I'm talking about will see just after ITT. I don't think it'll be fully in place by ITT. I think a lot of the really top teams will have it sussed out. I suspect you'll be seeing them with their triple DDA Necrons, or double DDA Necrons, some variation thereof. And we'll see where the meta goes after that. But I'm hoping it's going back to smart Warhammer, because that's the Warhammer I like playing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because we can always sit here in a vacuum and say, "Well, teams should surely be doing X, Y, Z," but obviously there's that element of firstly of model, and sort of getting the models and that sort of thing. But also, a lot of teams kind of just want to play the things they've got and enjoy, right? So in the case of our team, Jamie was going to be on Recon Guard, and then because he just bought the army, and then he played a few games. He was like, I'm a bit worried that I'm not going to get enough reps in. And then obviously the new Necron stuff came out, and he was like, this looks quite cool. And then he's played a few games with it, and he's enjoyed playing it. And it's also something he can get, printed and painted up in a couple of weeks.
Well,
And he hasn't lost yet. So it's, and stat checks are stat checks, right? If they've got, his list is something like 5 Catan, Necrosaur, and then 3 destroyers and 1 heavy destroyer. And it's not going to be out there getting big wins necessarily, because at the end of the day it's 10 models and it has an OC problem, but it's very unlikely to get blown out. And having those sorts of things across the board is quite nice in teams, isn't it?
Yeah, there is a process to this list thing as well, right? It's like it's easy to go, well, this is the best list. And it's like it's not just a hobby catch up, right? There's a list lag, right?
Yeah.
Where it's all right for me, right? I sit in the England Discord and I watch people play games every day, and because people are in there playing games every day, the lists are developing 5 times quicker than they are for the
Sure.
wider tournament scene.
Yeah.
And that's true with every time we get a new release. It will catch up, right? But I think this event will be fairly safe from the most horrendous variants of the new stuff, because it won't have been, it's not out there everywhere yet, right? Most people don't, I'm sure if all the good players came out and said, right, this triple DDA list is the best Necron list out there, and they were all saying it 2 weeks ago, you'd see a lot more people running them, right? But it hasn't got out there that quickly. It's going to take a little while for the meta to catch up. And that's always the case, right? It's all well listening to me doom and gloom about certain builds and stuff, but fundamentally, these builds take a little while to end up in circulation at events. So
Yeah. So there you are. It's not all over just yet, guys. Give it a couple of weeks. So just shout out in the chat. I've got lots of lovely people here, all our favourite people. Got Dominic. Hey, Dominic. So it's preparing bases for your Carnival Access list. That's very exciting. Chaz is saying it's the best YouTube show on a Monday lunch. I mean, I'm not sure how many other competitors we have, but thank you. Matt wants more Jack rants. And Ed's also working, but he is chatting as well at the same time. Brain says, list lag is the truth. Unless I'm 100% paying attention to all of the content and post-event jazz all the time, I end up going to RTTs wondering what the heck is going on. Absolutely. For the common man, it is certainly something which is completely... There's so many different levels and tiers, aren't there?
Yeah, so much of my doom and gloom is because I see and play against this stuff on an almost daily basis. So you end up with a different appreciation and feeling for when something's broken.
It's a bit like we've often had the discussion, kind of like you take a team like Ignite, right? You have Vic and David who obviously produce a lot of content and they have their own tier lists, but a lot of their testing is done internally, right? So that it
Yeah,
kind of shapes their opinion on certain things because of who they're playing against and that sort of thing. And just
exactly. Right.
because
I
they
will
go,
always think Guard are better than they actually are because I play Nassim routinely,
yeah. Which
and
is Vic with
playing
David,
this.
right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Right. Like it's armies feel better when they're played by their better players, and it skews people's perspective.
And we can talk in a vacuum about certain matchups and how this is a good matchup, this is a bad matchup, but a lot of the time it just comes down to the player skill, which is not equal, or people not understanding how to play a certain matchup as well, all those sorts of things. So yeah, it's obviously take everything we say with a pinch of salt. Right, there were no list submissions, there were no dear Deirdres this day. Just a reminder, if you are a member of our YouTube channel, you get access on our Discord to a members only section where you can submit lists. And Jack, not really me, unless it's very, very specifically certain armies, will talk about your list and how to improve. So Jack doesn't know this today, but I have got a list for Jack to
Oh,
look at,
have we?
which is
Hopefully
my
it's something I
list.
know.
So
Grey Knights. That's an army I know loads about. Let me
absolutely.
just open them up on
So don't worry about it,
Discovery.
Jack. I'm going to give you all the information. I thought this would be quite an interesting exercise for you, not to put you on the spot, but just to talk through thought processes. Because I can talk through my thought processes, and then you can tell me I'm right or wrong, obviously. But basically, I've got 125 points spare in my list, and there are a few avenues I can go down. So in terms of we're talking about list building and that sort of thing, in preparation for ITT, I I was thinking I'd quite like to take a list which is a bit more punchy, has a bit more kill. So that probably means I go for Warpbane because that's the army that can kill stuff. And that means probably in current world, that's like a Storm Raven style list. But as my teammates pointed out, that's not really your comfort zone. You're not not used to using that sort of thing. You probably need a lot of reps with it, which I don't have time for. I was like, okay, well, I'll go down the other skew. So I managed to get 3 or 4 reps in with Warpbane, just like power armor, just lots and lots of troops. I played some games with it, and it was okay. I was playing into quite hard matchups, and I found that as we were also talking as a team and preparing for this event, the more and more discussions we had and how the combination of armies and lists we had linked up, I could just see the writing on the wall, and the writing on the wall quite clearly said, Chris, you're going to end up playing into the armies that no one else to play into, and you're going to try and score points. It's my traditional role, and I think probably based on our team composition, that's more likely as to what's going to happen. I was like, fine, if I'm going to do that, I'll go back to what I know best, which is the Spanish style, annoying reactive kind of build. The one I took to Games Workshop team event with and did pretty well with, as if we remove Josh Roberts and Victrix Guard aside. So I wanted to take that. So this is kind of the core of the list. I'll explain how it works. So basically, it's a librarian who has an enhancement which gives extra AP, and he most importantly gives 18-inch loan up. He goes with a unit of paladins, and they come into play kind of turn 3, and they play a flank, usually the flank where my opponent's home field is, and they try and push through onto that and just be a pain. And hopefully, by being on a flank and with the 18-inch loan up, hopefully they're not going to get dealt with and they can regrow. stuff. And quite often, if people can't bring a lot to bear against the paladins, they just don't bother and they kind of try and take on another part of the board. So there's that. We've then got Crow with 10 purifiers. That's just a general thing. I'm not sure what weapons to give them. I've been running incinerators for the Overwatch threat, but actually often you want this unit shooting for the first few turns. So I might go to silencers or side cannons. Then I've got 2 units of strikes, one to stick in my backfield, one to go out and be an early play, sticky in midfield on some of the maps and that sort of thing. Then got 10, 5, 5 of interceptors, 10 in the Rhino, and 5 and 5. And the goal of the interceptors, the thing with Grey Knights, right, is that you have to strip the screens out, and that's what you're doing over the first 2 turns. And the interceptors are great for that because they can pop out, they can shoot, and pop back in. You can also make early plays with the 10 interceptors because the detachment has advance and charge, so you can hop out, charge, and that's like a 15-inch move plus an advance, and then you can tag stuff, run away with mists, whatever. So you can do that, or you can just cycle back and forth between walls and just fire all your storm bolters and your flamers and whatever, and just try and pick up so that by the time you get to turn 3 with a rapid and a drop and stuff, you're managing to get your purifiers and your paladins into useful spots. Then got 2 units of 5 purifiers to go with the 10. Purifiers are good at chopping things up on objectives because they get reroll wounds. Other than that, they're just fine. They could advance and charge. And then obviously the Rhino. So this list comes to 1875. At Warhammer World, I took a Calidus. So the Calidus is obviously another uppy downy, another mission scoring piece. It is a fights first, and it is a Vect, which sometimes I put in the right place. So that is one option. I could just take the Calidus. Or another option is that I upgrade one of the 5-man purifier units into an additional 10-man unit. Now, this won't have all of the purifying flame shots because obviously it doesn't have Crow, but it's still a pretty shooty unit. It's pretty good at punching. It would give me a third. I mean, 10 Inceptors sounds scary. Trust me from past experience, they do not kill anything really, especially in combat. People are like worried about this unit. I'm like, wow, I probably on average just about kill a 5-man Space Marine. That's how it goes. But hey, another 10 Purifier unit could be something which is quite nasty. Or potentially I could take an additional 5-man unit of Purgation Marines. Now, Purgation Marines, you could just take them as 5 dudes, which are choppy because they're 622, and they still get the slow, or you could take special weapons with them. Again, silencers or side cannons, because I could try and load up on side cannons. Obviously, I don't really have any anti-tank here unless I get lucky with lethals on the charge. But the slow mechanic is quite nice, and that would give me an additional thing. So those are kind of my options. I've kind of narrowed it down to at the moment, and I am on the fence across which one I think would be best. So with that in mind, and my role being the one that I'm probably going to be playing into the armies that a lot of the other lists we've got are kind of designed to go and get wins. We've got one other neutering style list really. What are your thoughts, Jack?
Okay, so within your role of the team as the person that goes out plays these horrible things, and your goal is to, like your target goal is probably what 8 points, right? That's like the ideal number in mind. So I guess the fundamental breakdown is how do we get to 8 points?
Yep.
And I'm going to go on a long discussion on how we get to what we take in the list, but we'll get there.
Okay.
I think the key to that really is it's your expansion, right? Like if you want to get to 8 points, the easiest way of getting to those 8 points is making sure you have your home and your expansion all game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can make that a little bit easier for yourself by having the ability to deny your opponents maybe once or twice.
Yep.
So looking at this list, right, where sort of your push for your opponent's expansion, turn 1, you've got loads of things you could do it with, right? You've got the interceptors, you've got a few 5-mans. Depends exactly what they put on it. Turn 2, you said or like turn 3, you're looking to push the paladins over there, which I think is that absolutely works. So that is your 2 attempted waves at denying your opponent's expansion. And then it comes down to, okay, what are we going to layer up onto our expansion to make sure it's as difficult to hold as possible, right? Because I think on a lot of the UKTC maps, the real easy way of losing your expansion is something ingresses on, or something ingresses within charge distance. They move over and then charge you. Is what I'm finding at the minute, especially on the search maps. They're basically uncontestable without reserves ingressing in and then moving and charging them.
Yeah.
So I would say it's the stuff you want are things that help you defend your expansion objective better if you're going to use the paladins to take your opponent's expansion, right?
Okay.
Like there's scope here to use the paladins to hold your expansion and take something else to push theirs.
Yep.
But in the context of we're using them to push theirs, the Calidus and the Purgation Marines come off as the better defensive tools.
Okay.
The Calidus naturally slows the pace of a game down, right? You're less likely to get all in, you're less likely to get shoved, because your opponent will have less access to offensive stratagems and less access to defensive stratagems for your hit back. So that's opponent having big all-in turns. I think the Purgation Marines allow you to selectively stop your opponent taking your expansion for a turn, right? Like you've got a good combination of tools here to go, okay, next turn you can reach my expansion with this unit that has fly that moves 12. Well, if I, get my Purgation Marines around there somehow, I get to give you -2 to your move. They now cannot contest my objective. Or maybe their charge is longer, or maybe it's harder to do. The Purgation Marines will be better in a slower trading game at holding your expansion, whereas the Calidus will probably be better for those big, aggressive, all-in armies. And I think that's more of what we're seeing at the minute, right? I think we're seeing more armies that want to hit big damage numbers. They want to spam the stratagems on their go turns, and they're not looking to trade smartly over your expansion. They're just looking to kill you off of it and stand there for the rest of the game. I think the Calidus is better at making that harder to do. But there is reasonings to take the Purgations. I think the Purifiers here, I don't think fit with the vibe that the list is going.
Yeah, I agree. I find it quite hard to use those sorts of that. Whenever I have tried it, it's quite hard to get mileage out of that unit. Into a spot.
My inclination is the Calidus is the thing I would take 3, but I think there is decent arguments to the Purgation squad here as well.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Jack. And if anyone listening plays me at ITT, you now know what my army does. So that's fun, isn't it? Right, we will hold it there. Next week, I guess, there might be some big sort of event going on. There's Jack's face. There might be some sort of big event going on. Who knows? Or we can obviously preview the ITT because the lists will be out. That'll be quite a nice thing to do as well. But as always, thank you very much, Jack. And maybe next Monday we'll be here just to be like, oh, the sky's fallen.
Who knows? There's a whole week between now and then. So
there's so much Warhammer.
So much could happen.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.